welcome to Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. If you're like me, then you have school loans from VSAC, the Vermont Student Assistance Corporation. As high school graduations are happening, many seniors are preparing to head off to college thanks to financial assistance from VSAC. To talk financials, FAFSA, and forgivable loans, I'm joined by Scott Giles, the president and CEO of VSAC. Scott has served VSAC since 2003. Welcome.
Jolie, thank you very much for having me.
We're very excited to have you. I mean, me personally, we have so much history together with my VSAC loans.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to provide some help to you.
Absolutely. And to talk a little bit about that help, what kind of opportunities do you provide for students who are looking to go to college in Vermont or Vermonters looking to go to college?
Well, we were created back in 1965 with really two main goals. One, to provide career and education counseling so that we could help students of any age figure out what it is that they wanted to do with the rest of their lives. And then the second piece, of course, is the part that many people want to talk to us about, the financial piece. We also provide a whole range of financial aid programs that are designed to make those dreams possible.
All right, and can you tell me who's eligible for a VSAC loan?
Sure. So any Vermonter participating in an education program anywhere in the country. So if you're a Vermont resident, you're eligible for a VSAC loan. Just as importantly in Vermont, though, any student who's attending a Vermont institution, regardless of whether you're from Vermont or you're from another state, are also eligible to participate in our loan programs.
All right, and if I have loans and I'm not able to pay, what does VSAC offer to help?
Well, there are two things, and the student loan area has become particularly complicated, and there are really two main types of student loans. There are the student loans that a student or a parent might take out from the federal government, which VSAC doesn't administer, but we can provide counseling on. And then there are the student loans that VSAC provides, which are supplemental student loan programs. So with the first group, the federal loan programs, we provide a full range of what we call loan counseling. So if a student is struggling with their federal student loans and wants some advice on how to manage them, how to access loan cancellation or forgiveness programs or get into a better repayment option, they can just give us a call, set up an appointment, and we'll walk them through that. And if they have a VSAC loan, then of course they can call us immediately, and we've got a range of options that are designed to help somebody who might be temporarily struggling with their payments. They've lost a job, something else has changed in their life. We can work with them in order to reduce the burden on them temporarily until they can get back on their feet.
And you don't have to get into too many specifics, but what kind of options are there for somebody who maybe can't repay?
Well, if I start with the federal, kind of the federal government program, there's income-based repayment is one of the most common ones where you don't have to pay any more per month than 10% of what we call your discretionary income. And so there's a new loan repayment program that the feds just announced. It's a little complicated, but we've helped a lot of Vermonters get into it. And that program will provide you actually loan cancellation at the end of as early as 12 years while you're getting payment relief tied to your income. For the VSAC loans, there's kind of a range of options. So we actually can provide what we call no pay or reduced pay forbearances. So, let's say that you lost your job and are unable to make a payment, something's happened. You can give us a call, we can talk through it. We always want to make sure that we're doing what's best for you, but we can say, hey, if you can't make payments for the next, kind of 3 to 4 months, we'll put those on hold until you can get back on your feet. Or maybe it's that you can't make the whole payment, but you want to make something so that the interest isn't accruing. We can navigate that with you. And a Vermonter borrowing from us, can use up to 24 months of that, kind of payment forbearance during the life of their loan.
Sure, so a lot of options.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we pride ourselves in. Our goal is not just to help you get into school, but it's to make sure that you're actually being successful once you get out and are pursuing the career that you've chosen and prepared for.
All right, and can you tell me about some of the outreach you do for high school students preparing for graduation?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a couple of things that we do. Probably part of what we are most known for is that we've got what we call career and education outreach counselors that work in nearly every middle school and high school across the state. Those counselors are largely funded with federal grants, and they're providing direct one-on-one support to thousands of first-generation low-income students, kind of every part of the region. And the way I think about it, Jolie, if I were to ask you, were you the first in your family to go to school?
I was not, no.
Yeah. So when did you decide that you were going to go?
Honestly, it always felt decided for me, but a pretty early age, yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty typical, but if you're a student who comes from a family where no one has been to school, you don't have that same sense of the inevitability of it. And we know that every Vermonter is going to need some form of education or training after high school. So our career and education counselors kind of play the role that your family did, in part saying, okay, what is it that you love to do? What do you think are the careers that might let you do more of that? And then what education or training might you need and how would you get it? So we provide that one-on-one support. But some people think, are you only providing support to the first-gen low-income families? And the answer is no. So we provide, we call them statewide services, but we're doing paying for college nights and forms nights, so we can actually help people with the forms in every high school across the state. And then we do big statewide events. I think this past year we had 3,000 students participate in what we call our kind of career and college planning programs that we hold on colleges around the state of Vermont.
How about for students who maybe don't look like the conventional college student, maybe adults or new Americans?
Yeah, those are places that we're particularly proud of the work that we do. And I really appreciate your asking that question, because so often everybody's focused on what's happening with high school seniors, particularly now that it's graduation. But we have career and education counselors that live around the state of Vermont. They live in the local regions that provide career and education counseling to adult students. And then we're particularly proud of the work that we are doing with new Americans right now. We've got money that the state has provided us to actually supplement the counseling that we can provide to them. And so we're working very, very closely with new Americans, in Chittenden County, down in Brattleboro, down in Bennington, helping them navigate that transition to making a new life in a new country.
And most high school students are probably familiar with FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. How is VSAC kind of connected with that program?
Well, we administer about $35 million worth of need-based aid that doesn't come from the federal government. And so that FAFSA, the federal application for financial aid, provides us the core data that we use for determining who's eligible for a need-based grant and then how much money that they are entitled to as a result of that.
Okay, and this is another maybe strategy for paying for college. Can you tell me about the Vermont 529?
Yeah, the college savings plan is one of our, I call it our quiet successes within the state. It's a little over 20 years old at this point. And Vermonters have saved, right now are currently saving about $660 million in that program. And it's actually become the largest source of financial aid within all of our programs. I think last year, Vermonters withdrew almost $40 million in order to pursue education and training. And it used to be that this could only be used for college, but with changes in the federal law, you can also use it for registered apprenticeships now. So it's a way that somebody who may not be thinking about traditional college, but thinks they want to pursue a trade, they can use the college savings plan now in order to support that.
That's a great new opportunity as well.
Absolutely, and particularly when you think about the things that you can also use that money for. So if I'm interested in pursuing one of the trades, tools are often one of the most expensive parts of that, where the traditional college student worries about books. If I'm thinking about becoming a plumber or an electrician, tools are part of it. And we see people using the 529 plan in order to help pay for those expenses that are part of their apprenticeship.
Yeah, more than just the tuition. That's great.
Yeah.
And I mentioned in the introduction forgivable loans, but that also maybe implies there are unforgivable loans. Can you tell me what forgivable loans are and if there are unforgivable ones?
Sure. This becomes one of the complicated areas that we're always working closely with families to counsel them on. But I'll start with the new programs that are getting the most attention. Vermont has a pretty substantial workforce shortage in some very specific fields. Nursing is one of them. Teaching is another one of them. Mental health is an area where we've got workforce shortages. And during the pandemic, what the legislature did was provide us some money that we could provide to students in some of these really high demand professions. And what they would do is we'd give them the money and they would commit to work in Vermont for a year, for each year of the forgivable loan they got. And if they fulfill that obligation, then the amount that they were given was canceled. If they don't fulfill it, they go to work somewhere else, then it converts to a loan. In the two places where we've seen the biggest uptake, nursing, I think everybody has heard about the nursing shortage we've got. Last year we supported almost 250 Vermonters who were pursuing careers in nursing and who will become nurses here. And then teachers is another one where I think the pandemic was hard on the education system, it was a hard environment to be a education professional in. We need more good teachers, and we've been given money by the legislature to be able to support them this way.
And I remember when I was looking at college, I spent time poring over a booklet of different scholarships. Can you tell me about the different scholarship opportunities that VSAC helps?
Yeah, absolutely. So we administer about 135 private scholarships, and these scholarships range from a local Rotary Club that is giving $1,000 away to, a large foundation that is interested in, maybe making $1.5 million worth of scholarships. So we have a single unified application that Vermonters can go into. They can take a look, identify a scholarship that supports their interests or needs or that they think they're eligible for. And one of our favorite days as an organization, this year was in May, normally it's in April, is that we break down together for a day into different groups and review all of the applications and make those awards. And what I will tell you is we walk away so inspired every day from just the incredible talent, determination, and grit that Vermont students have. But we view this really as one of our public services. This is money that comes from individuals and from private donors. And we really try and leverage our expertise in education and financial aid to give them a way to easily give their money to Vermonters with the greatest need.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today.
Julie, thank you very much for giving me a chance to talk about our programs.
We're happy to have you. And if you live in Vermont or you want to attend school here and haven't contacted VSAC, you should. Their contact information is on the screen. That takes care of Fence for today. My thanks to everyone working behind the scenes here at WCAX who make this program possible. I'm Jolie Whitney. Have a good one.